Glad to have you join us on this edition of the show. Automation is now a part of our existence as more and more individuals and businesses are filling up their spaces with devices and equipment that help for automation. My guest is a professional in this field and he has quite a lot to share. So we'll kick off the show with some news and updates. I'm Chukwemeka Agbata and this is Tech Trends.
The first rule of any technology used in a business is that automation applied to an efficient operation will magnify the efficiency. The second is that automation applied to an inefficient operation will magnify the inefficiency. Baruwa community is located in Alimosho local government area of Lagos State, and residents in this area depend largely on water wells and boreholes for their water needs. But Baruwa is also a host community of NNPC pipelines, which has contaminated their sources of water with petroleum hydrocarbon due to leaks, a situation made worse by pipeline vandals. For several years, residents in the community have battled with contaminated water and its attendant health complications.
The water situation here is very bad. The thing started in 1988 when the petrol entered the system, the water. So since that time, it has been like that. If you fetch it now, you'll be spending the petrol. So that's the situation.
This problem caught the attention of some senior students of Jakonde Estate Comprehensive Senior College, Abeson, Ipaja. The students first make a trip to the community to see the extent of the problem. Took water samples and then went back to their laboratory to find a solution. Based on their research and series of tests, they realized the water samples retrieved from Baruwa community defies the World Health Organization standard for quality water.
This is the water we got from Baruwa. We did a test on it and it also showed that it had a pH of over 8.5. The pH stands for the potential hydrogen ion. We also did another test which stands for the total dissolved substance. Total dissolved substance stands for the different sand and solid particles which have been dissolved in this water, and we got a shocking total dissolved substance of about 175. Here is it, based on the test we did in Unilag. Our conductivity also does not also agree with the World Health Organization standard of 1.2 times 10 raised power 3. Ours is about 0.1 times 10 raised power 3. So all these tests confirms that this water is not suitable for drinking.
Bearing in mind Sustainable Development Goals 3 and 6, which are about good health and well-being and achieving clean water and sanitation for all, they decide to get to work. They come up with their own water purification process called ultrafiltration, using materials available to them.
Based on our research, we noticed that there are different microbes present in this water, most of which are oxidants. Oxidants which have been added during the refining process of the petroleum products. So the idea is for you to add 0.5 gram of Moringa oleifera seed into 500 milliliter of petroleum polluted water. Then stir for 1 minute and allow to settle for 1 minute for maximum antioxidation to occur. We have the sand and the gravel. The idea behind this is that, based on our research, we discovered there are different small sand particles in it. Now, this sand has a charge, and the particles in here also has a charge. Once that charge is different, there will be a force of attraction. So instead of that charge penetrating through it, instead of that particle penetrating through it, the sand will absorb it. This is what we call the granular activated charcoal. So now I'm going to open my tap. Looking carefully here, looking here at this part, the water we are getting here was definitely different than what we actually added before it. Now the idea behind it is that once the water gets in here and we allow it to pass directly, the activated charcoal would have not performed the absorbing capacity enough. So you have to wait and allow this go for just 5 minutes. So after 5 minutes, we would open up our tap here, and the water that will be coming out here would definitely be what? Free of color and odor. This activated charcoal here would also be trapped on the surface of this sand in order for it to avoid penetration through the sand. After that, the sand would release the water into this cotton wool. So having done that, our product would be a pure drinkable water.
But the team does not stop there. They go ahead to ensure the water is completely clean and drinkable with their own distiller.
After passing our petroleum polluted water through the ultrafiltration process, this is the result we got. And this result is not 100% drinkable for residents around Baruwa area, which is why we decided to introduce the distillation process. The boiling point of water is 100 degrees Celsius. So when this water boils, it is going to go out as vapor, which is why we decided to condense the water. As you can see, there are drops of water, meaning that the water is already condensing, giving us a pure water to drink. Okay, so this is the water we collected after distilling water. So now, our water is ready for drinking. So as you can see, I tasted the water. The water it has no taste, no color, and no odor.
The students then decide to simplify the ultrafiltration process by creating a natrifier.
Okay, so based on everything we have done, we decided to create a natrifier, which is also an ultrafiltration system containing everything we have just emphasized. So we are going to add our petroleum polluted water to it, as if we are pouring. So we have our gravel, the granular activated charcoal, the sand, and the cotton wool.
Students have seen opportunity, and we are presenting tasks to them. They know that if I'm involved in this task, there's likely to be a headway for me. So that is an attraction. We have an attraction part where we get the student excited about what they can do with their hands, and what they can become, and what that can bring to their table. So when we discuss this opportunity, we show them through visuals and through the TV and our phones. They are excited to go extra mile. The parents are supportive, and with the help of God, we've been able to drive their interest towards learning, ensuring that they are more focused in the academics, and these are giving us a lot of results in the school.
It took the team 3 months to finish this project, and this final prototype would need to be improved upon before it can be put to use. but they believe that with the right support from the government, they will be able to profile a long-lasting solution to the water crisis plaguing Barua community.
A North Korea's 13-year-old student of Pyeongchang Junior Middle School, Im Il-jong, has developed a disinfection robot that can roll around school and spray disinfectant. In a video provided by North Korea's official news agency KCNA, a square box robot was seen moving around the school hallway and spraying disinfectant with 5 holes on nozzles on the device.
I decided to make a disinfection robot by myself.
The footage showed the robot saying disinfection completed after students received automated hand sanitizer dispenser from the machine. KCNA said Im has read science magazines for 2 years and used electron circuit simulation program to make the robot, which can also avoid obstacles.
At first I was surprised and could not believe that a junior middle school student would make a robot. I doubted it, but then he really made it.
I can't really believe that my son Il-jong, who was so naughty, made a robot by himself.
North Korea claims to have 0 confirmed cases of the coronavirus, but has imposed strict border lockdowns and movement restrictions that crippled trade and exacerbated economic problems.
Scientists. And then you? I want to be a scientist.
Netta Schreiber, CEO and co-founder of SafeUp, was inspired to develop the Women's Safety app after her friend was assaulted at a party in central Israel. At the party 10 years ago, a woman was cornered in a room by 2 men and half-stripped. Soon after, her girlfriends, Schreiber among them, worried about her absence, burst into the room. The men fled. It was that strength in numbers moment that gave Schreiber the idea to develop SafeUp, an application that allows women who feel they're being stalked or in danger of assault to signal their location and summon help from other subscribers.
SafeUp is a community-based network of women that enable them to help each other in a real time to prevent sexual harassment and to feel safer in their day-to-day life. Whenever one of our 20,000 app users feel unsafe, she just opens the app, click on a button, and she opts onto call or video call with her nearest guardian, trained women that they are available and prepared to help her.
The app was launched in Tel Aviv in March with the help of the municipality. Schreiber hoped SafeUp could be used in bigger cities like London, where the abduction and murder of Sarah Everard stirred public demand for better measures to protect women.
In reality, the app went viral, and today we have already 20,000 app users all over Israel and all over the world that actually use SafeUp and feel safer by using SafeUp every day. Today we are focused on the US and UK. After what happened in London this week, we understand that we have to be there and we have to be there fast. So we have a community manager there and we have more than 200 users already that start to build the community.
Schreiber says the app has also helped avert domestic violence, though guardians do not enter private homes. SafeUp can be downloaded free of charge by women who pass vetting to ensure they are bona fide users. In distress, a user can share her live location with a list of women she provided in advance, or be connected for an audio or video conversation with volunteer women known as guardians to receive reassurance and guidance. Should the user or the guardians deem the situation an imminent danger, they can call police through SafeUp, which taps into the phone's camera and microphone to record evidence. For less extreme circumstances, it can geolocate guardians within 500 meters of the user, summoning them instead.
Coming up is my chat with the MD of Kawai Technologies, Akimbo Akinolugbade. Stay with us.
Automation is the process of performing tasks with reduced human assistance using technology. Goods are produced automatically through the use of robots, control systems, and other appliances with a minimal direct human operation. The growing popularity of robotic automation across sectors looks to continue over the next few years as businesses take advantage of the many benefits it offers. But while automation can lead to increased labor productivity as fewer workers are needed to produce the same number of manufactured goods, there's a perceived downside that it also leads to job displacement in traditional areas of work. Akinbo Akinolugbade, MD of Kawai Technologies, joins us to discuss how we can fill the skills gap that will arise from automation and other disruptive technologies.
Akinbo, welcome to Tech Trends.
Hi, how are you?
Awesome. So when automation is being talked about, what should come to the average person's mind?
To the average person, you should be thinking about how do things get done automatically, either by computers or by software or by some sort of tech, either in the home or in the office, or increasingly today in public spaces as well.
Okay. Now, what are some of the use cases of automation that are available now, and what should we expect to see in coming days?
I think we have to break that down first into what do we expect to see abroad, and then what do we expect to see in Nigeria, because it's there's a little lag for our own local market. But all in all, you can even simplify it and take it to simple things like your elevators and your escalators. Those are early examples of automation. Before you had to climb the stairs at a train station or an airport. Today you just step on a machine and it takes you where you need to go. Jump forward 100 years or so, and you're now talking about robots for manufacturing and putting things together. You're talking about injection molding for making plastics instead of carving or assembling with rivets and things of that nature.
I mean, we're in the era of automation. A lot of things are getting automated, but are there any disadvantages of technologies like this?
Well, yes. The disadvantages are you're relying on computers. At the end of the day, it's computers. You're relying on them to get the things done, to get the job done. The disadvantages with that are, of course, you are centralizing control. If a mistake is made in the programming or in the architecture, then that mistake is magnified. So if you think of like a factory floor where you have different people performing different tasks, if one person makes a mistake, it will be fairly quickly realized, and it's simply a matter of getting that person off the production line and either replacing the person or having that person correct their error. If a computer or a system is making, imagine like a beer factory where the process is automated, the bottle runs. If a mistake is made and it's not caught very quickly, it can very quickly ruin the entire production line for that period. So I think the over-centralization is one definite downside of automation.
Okay, but yeah, so let me be fair to automation and ask, what are some of the advantages so that we can balance both sides?
Well, the advantages are numerous. You can multiply output. You can multiply the things you can do. It reduces your personal physical effort. If you look at simple things, let's look at home automation as an example. It frees you. I haven't carried keys for my house in 3 years because the gates is automated, the front doors are automated, the rooms are automated. Nobody in my house carries keys. There are applications to sort all those kind of things out. So it's less stress. It means I don't have to carry a bunch of keys anywhere. My wife doesn't have to carry a bunch of keys in her bag. If you apply that to the workspace as well, same thing. You can focus on more targeted approaches to getting the job done because you've got computers, the heavy lifting in the background. Look at access control. That's a nice simple one. Most people should be familiar with. You don't have to carry swipe cards, or rather, you don't have to think about carrying those different access cards because you now have them in place. You can use fingerprints, iris scans, and things like that. These are all examples of automated technologies in their simplest forms, which are more relevant to our market here.
So obviously that tells me that there has to be 24 hours power supply where you are to achieve this, right? But not the case in Nigeria. Power outages, blackouts. I mean, how can this work in such a situation?
Yeah, but then you look at redundant power technologies. So like, I think the last time the power fully went out in our house was probably a year plus ago. And that was just maybe for an hour when there was a perfect storm of gen down, inverter down, solar down, everything down. But it is possible, even in Nigeria, to have uninterrupted power to a large extent. So we're talking about inverters, solar, and these technologies are increasingly less expensive. They're not as expensive as they were 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. So you can get modular systems, and if the issue is one room, start with one room, get a system that will take care of your bedroom, and then expand from there. The beauty is a lot of these systems are modular, so you can start building it out from where your budget can reach, and as your income increases or your savings increase over time, you can expand the systems. So power is something we can deal with now to a large extent.
The federal budget for science and tech, the ministry, is about 50 billion thereabout. Some say this amount is paltry in today's world of technology. What are your thoughts?
So let's put that in a nominal figure that we can understand regardless of where we are. That's roughly $100 million. That's for our entire education sector, right? If you take the European Union's budget only for battery technology, 2 years old, 2019, yes. In 2019, we were looking at 600 million euros. So for one subject area was 6 times our entire education budget. So it's something that we need to not just throw more money at, but throw more resources at. It's like, how long is a piece of string? Because this starts going into other areas. The money is finite, right? We get our money mostly from oil, a few exports, and the GDP from production in Nigeria. Our imports vastly outweigh our exports, especially when you take oil out of the equation. Nigeria needs to increase its productivity. There's more money in the economy, more money in the society, so we can invest those additional to our infrastructure. And education is one of those areas we need to invest heavily in. When we then make that investment, we can then start tackling all these areas, especially like automation and engineering.
Finally, automation in 5 years, Nigeria, the reality of brain drain, the fact that we need to invest more in education, in science and tech, and all of this, where do you see our journey towards automation in the next couple of years?
Oh, you're going to see it increase dramatically. I mean, you're seeing factories. So let me give you an example. Everyone knows Amazon, of course, the international e-commerce giant. But if you watch a few videos about how their warehouses operate, you will find that it's very minimally staffed. And you've got robots that take all the goods from one end of the factory to the other end, stacking the shelves and things like that. You're going to see that sort of technology come into Nigeria to a large degree. Our homegrown giants like Jumia, for instance, I'm sure they're looking at these sort of technologies. And while they may not be feasible today, they will be, a few years down the line. If you look at like our airports with SACOL and companies like that, even with our check-in processes, it's mostly automated everywhere else in the world. Your boarding pass is, scanned, computer processes that information, opens the gate. And with coronavirus now, it's even more imperative that we look for technologies that will reduce physical human-to-human contact to reduce the spread of disease. So automation, honestly, this is the time for it.
Awesome. Thank you, Akimbo, for being on the show today. All the best.
No, thank you very much, CFA.
As you've heard from the MD of Kawai Technologies, Akimbo Akinolugbade, automation is already aiding life in a number of ways and can only get better as technology improves. But we must also watch out for some of the negative consequences that he mentioned. The biggest question is this: how are we retooling, retraining, and reskilling our citizens to fill the skills gap that would arise as a result of these disruptive technologies? That's our show for today. You can watch the previous edition of the show as well as this one on YouTube, on Channels TV, or cfablog.ng. For Tech Trends, I'm Chukwuemeka Agbata.